Hi guys, welcome to this video. I'm literally starting it lying down because I'm so tired from this week. So it is Monday. Oh, I just looked again, it was like past midnight, so I was like, oh, it's Tuesday. Okay, it is technically the night of Monday, 11th of November, and that means that I've just finished 1 week's worth of work from the last time I filmed this video. All right, let me sit up. Let me sit up. Come on, Mags. Rally, rally. Um, so, and yes, as I mentioned, it is 7 minutes past midnight. But I was like, let me get on photo booth. Let me get the little hearts up. I'm here. I'm sat. I'm back on YouTube. Okay, so for this week, I actually noted down in my notes app, jotted down some little bits and bobs to jog my memory of just little funnies that happened this week and things to do with my classes. Because I feel like in the classes, sometimes things happen and then I kind of like forget, even though like in the moment it was like lol or just like kind of silly and goofy. Um, but yeah, I took pictures of my schedule for each day as well. So obviously last week it was Monday when I filmed as well. And then I had my weekend, which is Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Those are my days off for the week. And then on Thursday, I normally have Thursdays um, with like no lessons. But because this week, which is I feel like probably the reason why I'm also like, oh, I'm kind of tired, is because a couple of teachers were on annual leave. And so we had like more classes to cover, etc., etc. Most of my classes, it was chill though, because one of them on Thursday is actually one that I teach anyway, but each class has like, we co-teach with someone. So, for example, I'll teach the class on Monday and then there'll be a teacher on Thursday. And normally it's an international teacher and a local teacher. So I covered my usual class that I have on Mondays for their Thursday class with the local teacher. And then some of my other classes were like Bright Spot. So it was like 3 to 6, really cute. And it's so funny because with them, at first when you walk in they're like, oh, who's this, like it's a stranger, like where's our usual teacher? And then after like 5 minutes they're like giggling at the games and like forget that we just did not know and never met each other 5 minutes before. So on Thursday I had just the one class, the one that I teach anyway, and it was at 4:45. So weekdays I work 1:30 to 8:30, and then weekends are like the busiest. So Saturday, Sunday is 8:45 a.m. to 6 p.m. Okay, so this class, I remember when I had them on the Monday and they were kind of asking like, oh, teacher, is there colouring today? Is there colouring today? And I was like, oh my God, like they are in for a treat because that's when they had their mini farm colouring book, this like A4 thing that I found, and you like fold it up, and it becomes this little like mini book of colouring. And it was so cute. And then this time, oh my God, there's this little kid and he was so cute. At one point, it was like I just walked in. They were like, oh, like da da da. And then he just went in Chinese. He was like, teacher, are we doing colouring today? And the way it is as well in Chinese, it's like, it's so cute. Like loads of times when you say certain phrases or like names, nicknames usually follow this as well to make it like cutesier. You say it twice. So like the name for a drawing or like art or something is hua. And then but if you want to say like drawing in like a cutesy way, like oh we're coloring, you say it twice. So like hua hua. And then it was like so cute the way he asked it. He was like, oh like teacher, today are we doing like hua hua? And I was like, oh my God. But I felt so bad because I didn't actually have a colouring prepared for this class. I was like, guys, we got to get to work. You guys are 3 and 4 years old, but we need to jump hoops, quite literally drilling these English sentences. Like, come on. Okay, it's time to get serious. So I was like, oh, sorry, today we don't have colouring. And then we got on with the lesson. And I'm looking at my like notes right here. But literally when I tell you he looked like this emoji, this is exactly what he looked like. It was So sweet. I was like, damn, I wish I brought a colouring. So I kind of knew in my mind, I was like, okay, maybe I can like prepare colouring. And I obviously today's Monday, so I had them for my class and I did prepare a colouring. And I actually said, I was like, okay, guys, like if we behave very good today, we can have a colouring. But I was gonna do the colouring anyway. Oh, I love how my phone had a little hearts moment there. Um, oh, the other thing. So this is actually the same kid this time. When I do, well, it can be like drilling vocab, phonics. There's one where it's like K says k, and I'll do like punching. I'll be like k, k, k. And everyone loves it. They're like k, k, k. But then this kid, he literally starts, so everybody's like k, k, k. And then he starts like randomly, like he just stands up and then he starts doing this. Wait, hold on. You need a better view. He starts going like actual karate tai chi moves. I'm like, have you seen that on TV or do you have like a class which you take? And I was like, this is so funny. Like everyone was like, ka, ka, ka. And he was just like, ka, 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 ka. He was genuinely like doing this. And I was like, oh my God, he's so... And he was like slowly, progressively, like everyone sat in a row on their little chairs. And he was just like standing up slowly and like walking towards the middle. And I was like, okay, let's sit down, let's sit down. Oh my God, it was so cute. Like the kids are just adorable. What else did I write? Oh yeah. So a lot of the classes have videos. And I mean, it's quite interesting because a lot of the units, and each unit maybe has like four-ish lessons, and it will usually just be the same video. So they will end up like seeing the same video quite a few times. So they actually already saw this one, and it's like about farm animals. And there's one point in the video where like the characters are looking for the pig to feed the pig the apples. And they're like, oh, where's the pig? And then the pig like comes from the side and he like steals the apples from the basket. And the kids like, this is so, all I wrote was like giggling about the pig because all of these like 10 little kids, they just find it hilarious each time. Like they have already seen this video and they know what is about to happen, what ends up happening. And they're just like, ha, 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 like they're like looking and just like, it's so cute. I'm like, they've got that like childlike wonder and like the awe of life. Um, but yeah, and then the other thing that I wrote down for this class. So there's this one kid who, I'm not gonna lie, the first of all, she's adorable. Like I think she's one of the youngest in the class as well, because she's like just so much like smaller and like sometimes next to the big kids, she's literally like half their height. I'm like, damn. But she's so, so sweet. But the first few lessons when I taught this class, this girly pops did not have a thought behind her eyes. Like literally, she's like, when I'm going to like maybe individually drill a vocab, like I'm like, okay, got the flashcards, and I'm going to one each student one by one. I'm like in front of her. Girly Pops is looking through me. She's looking through me, like genuinely. Hello, is anyone home? Is anyone there? But she was so sweet, and obviously each time I would just be like, "Oh, like you can do it," and like she'd be like quite delayed. It's like literally I could picture the little loading button on her head. I was like, you know what? We've all been there. We've all been there. But the reason why I wrote this down is because in this lesson on Thursday, and maybe a tiny bit on Monday too, I feel like she kind of started gaining consciousness because she started just like being very like not sassy, but she was like having this little like quirky personality. And then there was one point where we were playing this game and it requires me to like circle something and they have to like drill the word or something. And then I drew this circle really quickly and she just went in Chinese again, obviously. She was like, oh my God, like why? Like the circle that you drew is so funny. Like it's so quirky. And I was like, oh my God. And she was like, ha ha ha. I was like, girlie, you are a cutie. You're absolutely adorable. So that was Thursday. Me looking at the time being like, oh, not me napping for 10 minutes again. But Friday, so what I have on Friday, I had a demo, which is when the parents come in, kids come in, trial a lesson, and it's very like, it's just a standardized lesson. We learn about zoo animals, do some games and activities, and then after that, they just like decide if they want to join the school and like buy our course. So, I say buy our course, buy the course. I'm just here. I'm just the girly pops. I'm Maggie. I'm from London. And yeah, so what I wrote down for this demo, I think this demo as well was like it was evening demo and then I had one hour class afterwards. So it was like in the last 2 hours. So I think maybe 6:30 was the demo and then 7:30 was the class. But normally the demo doesn't last like the whole hour. So what I wrote down for this demo was like there was just again one crazy kid and literally right off the bat we're doing like okay, so do a little welcome speech and then we start off by all we do is like say hello to the students one by one, just like start off really easy because obviously they've never learned English before. They're like 2.5 years old or like 3 years old. And we're just like, okay, let's start simple. So then you go like one by one and you're like, hello. And you like, they have a little name tag. So you say their name, give them a little high five. It's like really cute. And I'm like gauging the vibes of the students. I'm like, all right, let's understand the vision. Let's like see what we got to do. And then I'm going to like each student. And I think there was about 6 or 7. And I'm going to like the third student, and then suddenly the kid on the end starts like crying, and I'm like, and he's like saying something like gibberish kind of. I couldn't really like hear or understand. And I was like, oh, what happened? And I turn around, and it turns out, and he's like kind of like trying to speak to the TA. And it turns out he literally was like, oh my God, like, I want a high five. Like, where's my high five? And I was like, babes, I'm gonna get to you. Don't worry. Like, I was like going one by one. And it wasn't long either. It was just like, hello, like say their name and then like high five, just like hello to each one. And I was like, oh my God. And he was like, he was so sweet, but he was a little like drama king at some moments, which love that for him. He ate. We have this like spinner thing for the demo as well, which we do as one of our first things. And it's to basically say, teach them like little dance moves that is in the hello song. So, like, we have stand up, sit down, we have raise your hand, which the dance, oh my God, it's so cute. We have this thing in our school where if the little Bright Sparks kids, 3 to 6 year olds, want to raise their hands, they have to go. No, because I died at this the first time I saw it. They have to go, teacher, teacher, let me try. And I'm like, they all do it and they all have their own like variations of it. Some of the kids will be like do it so quickly, like teacher, teacher, let me try. And then some of them will be like, teacher, teacher, let me try. And I'm like, I've already made my decision of which kid's going first. Like, too slow, too slow. But anyway, so we have raise your hand and then we have look, we have listen. So they do the spinner one by one and they come up and they can like press the little star and that makes it spin and it's like making all these like sound effects. And when it's his turn to come up, I think he just got so like hyper fixated on the spinner, like he just wasn't even in the room with us and he was like so like mesmerized by it. He tapped it and then obviously afterwards you got to like drill and practice the word. But then he was like, oopsies, it just cut me off because my phone tried to connect to my MacBook, but we're back. So anyway, this kid was so in awe of the spinner that he just didn't, like, nobody else was in the room to him in his brain. And he was like, oh, I need to tap it again. I need to tap it again. And to be fair, it was like a comic relief moment. Like everyone, all the parents and like the kids were like, hee 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 hee. So it was cute. Okay, so yeah, I literally just wrote tap the spinner multiple times, comma, in his own world. So true. It's his world and we're not even living in it because he hasn't processed that there are other people there. But yeah, it was an interesting demo. There's always like different personalities in the demos and obviously it's just like a mixed bag. Sometimes also it's a small group. I've had like one student before, and then sometimes it's a bigger group. I think the maximum that I've had though is only 7, so that's like definitely manageable. But I think it can go up to like 10 or 12. which is kind of a lot. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, then I had my other class, which I really, really adore this class. Like, again, a really big mix of personalities. This time there's not just like one crazy kid, there's a few. But I don't know, they just like have such pure hearts. Like, obviously, all these kids do, but like, oh, I just love this class. And there's like one little kid as well who's clearly the youngest, but he's very, very strong and he's very smart. And I don't know, I know it's bad to have favorites, but sometimes in the classes I'm like, oh, those are my faves, like the teeny little kid, but he's just like really smart. And the way that they're graded at this, like for the different like bright sparks, high flyers, and it goes like, I can't remember the exact numbers and letters. I think bright sparks is like one, two, three, four, and then high flyers it goes from like B. I don't know why we don't start from A, but B to J, maybe? Question mark. Again, I think I had the same thing in the last video, and I was like, oh, I need to know this better, and I still don't exactly know, but that's okay. Um, Anyway, they have like a placement test, and they just have to like they get asked like some questions and shown pictures and stuff. But oh, I literally just unplugged my galaxy lights. Oops, wait, be right back. Okay, I'm back again. So chaotic. But yeah, they're placed based on ability. And yeah, this kid is just very, very smart and he can be in this class. Um, the main thing that I wrote about this class was just that it's really sweet every time that I go in. This is like one of my regular classes. They um they love to say like they're always like in such a cute giggly fun mood, like it's an evening class, but they are rallying so strong. Honestly, side note, these kids in China inspire me so much. They've had an entire day of school, and then they are going to school after school and learning English like more. And on the weekends, they do things like piano, they learn instruments, they learn skills like roller skating. In the shopping malls, there's even in R1, like there's this like roller skating, what was it called? Like park, rink, just place for kids, and like they're locked in. Like these 3-year-olds are locked in. And I'm like, you know what? You guys are hustlers and I am inspired. I will never complain about being tired again. Ripe age of 3 years old. But no, it's pretty cool. And so obviously sometimes if they're a bit crazy, I'm like, to be fair, like fair enough. Like you've literally been in like school for 8 hours at this point. Like Jesus Christ. But anyway, this class, it's in the evening and they are like always very lively. But when I ask them, so you say like, hello, what's your name? And they'll say like, I'm Maggie, for example. And then you follow up by saying, how are you? And normally the options are, I'm happy, or I'm sad, or I'm fine, or I'm hungry, I'm sleepy. And most of the times though, the kids say, I'm happy, or they'll say, I'm fine, and or I'm great. But like this class, they just find it so hilarious. And I don't even know like where this phrase comes from, but they say, I'm 20 sad. But they'll like say it in the most like happy tone ever. Like I'm like right in front of them and they're like literally like almost jumping out their chair because they're so like happy and excited. But they're just like, I'm 20 sad. And everyone's like, ha 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 ha. Someone's like, I'm 100 sad. Ha ha. And I'm like, you know what? At least they're practicing their English. They're practicing their numbers. Everyone's finding it entertaining. They're luckily not actually sad. And I always follow up with like, oh, 20 sad. And I'm like, that's okay. We can be sad sometimes. And then we high five, write their name on the board. And then it continues. And everyone, this class, they just find that like comedy gold. They're like, this is hilarious. And they never get over it. Like every time I teach this class, I'm asking them how they are. They are one of the most happiest classes that I've taught. Every time I'm 20 sad, I'm 100 sad. But I love it. I think I might have mentioned that last time as well, but I'm just like, oh, I just love it. Like these kids, they can just be like saying with chest, I'm so sad, and have the biggest giggles. Honestly, inspiration. I also just wrote under Friday, I wrote, teacher reels in capitals, followed by LMAO. And it's literally because I feel like from this day I noticed that in my reels I'm literally getting teacher reels. And honestly, they're so relatable and funny, and I'm just like, please, I am just a 23-year-old cosplaying as a teacher. But why are these kind of relatable? Also, it keeps thinking that my phone is like a person and putting hearts on it. It's kind of cute. But yeah, I just wrote teacher reels and I was like, lol, that's kind of funny. But um yeah, love it. Okay, so on Saturday, so now we're getting to the weekend, and these are the busy days. First one, I think. Oh, okay. So I think in my brain, I thought it was a cover, but I actually took over because this class had two local teachers. And so they were wanting like one international teacher. So I switched. And I've actually observed this class before, and they're very sweet, they're very strong. And there is one girl, as always. It's always one. Not gonna lie, that was literally me as a child, so can't even complain. Um, as I said in the last video, any kids who are misbehaved, it's just karma returning to me from my past child self. I was crazy. But I'm like saying my hellos to everyone, and there's this one girl who I already could tell, like going in, that she was maybe gonna be like a bit naughty, bit cheeky, like she's gonna be the personality. And I get to her, and she goes, in Chinese, obviously, she's like, why am I a little bit shy? Like I'm a little bit shy. I'm like a bit nervous. Like literally acting as if she's like nervous to meet me or something, or like, do you know what I mean? But then obviously, and then the PA who's like, so each class has a progress advisor, and they're the one who contacts the parents. And she was like, oh, like said the girl's name. She was like, no, I know you're not. And then it turned out definitely, I knew after she said that, I was like, you are gonna be the crazy one, aren't you? And she was. And I know she was lying when she was like, oh, why am I a little bit shy? No, you're not, girl. I see right through the act. So then also it was really cute because her and like this other boy, when we were playing like this monster flashcard game, which is you get a little cute picture of a cartoon monster, and whilst you're drilling flashcards, you say like, oh, when you see the monster, like you have to cover your eyes, and everyone's like, ah, and like laughing and stuff and screaming. So we're doing that, drilling, and it's like, oh, monster, and then everyone's like, ah, and then her and this other kid genuinely like leapt out their seat and climbed under the chair, and literally with their little like butt sticking up, and the progress advisor literally was like laughing so much. She was like, oh my god, girl, you are hilarious. So that was that one. But yeah, normally the ones who say like, why am I a little bit shy? They're the craziest. Or in the class that I did on like Thursday, for example, they're normally like really the clever and like strong ones, because I just feel like they know how to like joke and stuff from the ripe age of 3/4 years old. So much personality, and I love it. This same girl, oh my God, I literally wrote like three things about her halfway through the class. We're just like answering questions, like whatever, like teacher, let me try. And then she's like, she just goes, teacher, I'm hungry. And I'm like, honestly, mood. Like, and this class was just before lunchtime, or like kind of going, I think it ended at like 12:15. And honestly, my response, I was just like, me too, girl. And then like continued with the lesson. So that was my morning class for Saturday. And what time was that? I think that was 10, no, 11:15, 11:15. And then in the afternoon I had a high flyers B class. High flyers B is essentially, so like high flyers is obviously, I think it's like 7 to 10, but they introduced this new course honestly around the time when I came and joined the school as well, where any kids that age who like haven't had any English practice before, they join this class. Because normally, well, not normally, but because they learn English at school as well, and a lot of the times if the parents want them to learn English, they will commonly just start them from like a really young age, so they'll like go through the whole course, but these are just kids who like haven't learned English before, and they're maybe at the age where like around other kids typically they won't know as much English, so this course was introduced. So such a cute class, love it. I think there's literally like 12 of them. It's quite a big class. And honestly, so many animals were learnt this week. Actually, I was doing farm animals, I was doing pets, and then this one was like zoo animals. And they just found there's this little kid, and his giggle is the cutest thing ever. Anytime I do the gesture for tiger, I do like a little tail. I go like to tiger, and then he just finds it so funny, and he goes up, he puts his whole back into the gesture, and he's like giggling. So this class, they had a test. It was 2 hours. First hours, reviewing, practicing, preparing for the test. Second hour is the progress test. But the thing with this class is like they are quite weak at like doing a test, because I feel like obviously they can't really read, like maybe they can drill if they see a picture of a tiger, they can be like, oh, tiger, and like monkey, panda, like those types of things. But they're really weak at reading. So then when it comes to, even if it's a really basic question of like matching the picture to the words of like happy and sad, like they can get what it means if I say it out loud, but they're just like, huh? Like what is that? And it was so funny to see some of these kids who were like giggling, being silly and goofy, be like locked in for the test. They were like so focused. They were like, all right, like, let me try. And then some of them were just saying, like, I'm confused. Like, what does this even mean? And then there was one kid who, like, when we were right, the teacher, the PA, like, came in and helped. And she was like, okay, start by writing your name at the top, like in Chinese. And this one kid just like randomly wrote it in like the middle of his test paper. And then the teacher was like, no, obviously not there. And then she was like, rub it out and like right at the top. And I was like, some of the things that they do, I'm just like, love your guys' brain. Like the creativity is on log. People will pay millions for this creative direction in the future. But it was so funny. I was like, how does your brain even come up with that, guys? And then my last class on that day, it was in the evening. I think it was 5 till 6. It was my storytellers class, and we were doing Jack Be Nimble, which is the second installment of the one that I was teaching last time. And this time, they had a little project to do. And it was basically just like coloring in, and it was like the little cartoon Jack, and you color it in, cut out the body parts, and stick it together. Kind of advanced for 3 year olds, to be honest. Like, can they even hold scissors at this age? Can they even hold glue and press it down and slide it side to side? I've learned that it is extremely challenging for some of these 3 year olds. And there were also some new students in this class. So one of the kids, I actually recognized him because he was in a demo that I did. And actually, he was the only student. And it was so funny because I remember in this class, he literally said in Chinese, he was like so funny. He was like, why is it only me? Like, and it was like so funny and just like sassy and like, oh, just so funny. He was like, but why is it only me? Like, why aren't there any other like little friends with me? And of course, I've got to see him now in another class with a bunch of other kids. And basically, when we were doing this project, there was like maybe 5 kids. 3 of them were um good and well behaved, and like they were really focused on like cutting out and like sticking, and they managed to like piece something together. I actually, oh my God, I actually think I took a photo, so I'll put some of the photos like maybe in a moment when I do a little reveal. But I like 3 of the students were really focused, did really well. 2 of the other students, one of them was just being so crazy the whole lesson, and but I was trying to help him. Um so let me give you an example. So this was an example of the one where it's like the student who I would say she's like the strongest, and she was really focused, like making her art, making her masterpiece. And then there were some others which were like, okay, like this is like what you'd expect from a 3 year old. And then this is the one that ended up turning out for the kid who kept being crazy, and I was like trying to help him. And this is our beauty that we managed to piece together. And then the other kid, the one who I recognized from my demo, he literally was just shredding the paper. He was shredding the paper, but he was having the best time. And then one point he just went, and I wish I could like explain how funny this hits in Mandarin. Look, like the message here is just that you got to learn Mandarin to understand the law. But basically he was like, um I'll try and replicate the tone, and obviously he didn't say these words, but in Mandarin he was like just laughing at himself and giggling, and the other teaching assistant was like trying to help him, and he was just like, "LMAO, like I don't even know what I'm doing, like I don't even know," and it was just like so cute and funny. Like he was just like able to laugh, giggle at himself, because then he'd like turn around and look at everyone else's when we got to like the sticking part. And he was just kind of sat there like, I really don't have anything to work with here. And he was like, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. Um, but it was so funny. Honestly, another inspiration, to be honest. Like, don't take yourself too serious. He ate with that. So then we get to Sunday. The first class, this was one where for some reason there was only two students. And then at first, obviously, when I went in, they were like, oh, who's this new teacher? And then like 5 minutes in, they were like, hee 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 hee, playing all the games. And it was two kids, a girl and a boy, and it was so cute because I started noticing throughout the class that the girl would always like look to the boy to be like, oh, what's he doing, or like what's he saying, and she would always like copy him and like echo him. And obviously I got them to do some exercises where it was like one by one, so they were practicing, but it was like so sweet. They were kind of giving like sibling dynamic as well. I don't know if they were actually siblings, because sometimes in these classes like some of them have been either like siblings, we've had like a lot of twins as well. And yeah, it was just really really sweet, and like they were just like so, they just found things really funny, and they found each other really funny as well. So that was really cute. And the boy was very confident, and the girl was like, she wasn't shy, but she was just like a little bit more reserved, and she would find like the boy really really funny and then like just copy everything he said, and I was like, oh, so sweet. Okay, and then I had my BS0 class, which these kids are 2.5 years old, like super young, the youngest class that we have, bright sparks, zero. And in this class we have, I think it's four kids now, um three girls, one boy. One of the girls, really strong, can echo everything, recognizes things. She's awake. She's taken the red pill. And one of the other girls, she's fine. She's like sweet, well behaved. She's a bit quiet, but she does produce. And I wouldn't say she's shy necessarily, pardon me. But sometimes her mum like comes and stays in the class. And then the other one, oh, at the start, she did cry a lot. And her mum has been here every lesson. But it's all right. She's also a little bit shy, but um that's okay. And then the boy, oh my goodness, he literally, every lesson when we begin, he genuinely stares at me with a death look. He's like glaring at me. And then as soon as we're like, oh, do you want stickers, or like, get some sort of reward, he like immediately his demeanor changes, and he's ready to drill, he's ready to reproduce the language, and he's honestly quite a strong student, but his behavior is just very like challenging. And first of all, the girl who was very strong, I walk into the class, and in Chinese she's like, for some reason, checking with everyone if they've taken their morning nap, because she's like, in Chinese, I took my nap this morning, like I had a really nice sleep. And I think the class was at like 11:15, so I was like, damn, like girly woke up early and then took a nap and went to class all before 11:15 on a Sunday. Again, inspiration. And she was like to the other kids, have you taken a nap? Have you taken a nap? And it was so funny and cute. And some of them are literally like staring at her blankly. Some of them are like saying like, oh yeah. And then she's like to me, oh, have you taken a nap? And I literally, this is a night as well, like I did not sleep well at all, but I was like, yeah, I took my nap as well. And then, oh my God, the boy, oh my God, he was being a little bit better this lesson, but he was a little bit crazy. We did go from throwing chairs, running around the classroom, scribbling on the interactive board, to at least he's just sat and kind of kicking about and like being a bit like maybe sometimes not responding. But this is a teaching kids, I don't want to say bucket list, but canon event, okay? Teaching little kids. I'm going to each of the little kids. This is maybe 20 minutes into the lesson. And some of the kids before have been like, oh, like, if they need to pee, they just put their hands up. I'm sure you can see where this is going. And I go to them one by one. And then I go to him and I'm like, got the flashcard. I'm like, oh, like, say this word. And then he kind of says to me, he's like, oh, like the word for like wee wee, right? So I'm like, oh, do you need the toilet? And then the TA is like, oh, like comes over. And then she was like, oh, like, what did you say? There's one word in Chinese which you add to the end, which makes it past tense. And I didn't hear that bit in the first bit. So he actually said, I just peed. Moment of silence. I took a little moment where I was like, oh, and then step back. There was two parents in the room and they were like, oh, but they were also giggling. They were like, LMAO. And then the TA quickly leaped into action and she was like, oh, MG, lol, let's get you to the bathroom. And I didn't even realise this, but then afterwards, we literally looked down and we were like, oh, his trousers are literally wet. Not like the whole thing, it wasn't dramatic, it was more at the back as well. Ew, literally gross, gross, gross. And then afterwards, guys, there was literally like a puddle of piss on the floor. I'm not even going to lie to you, but obviously got the cleaner to come in. The cleaner auntie sorted it out. I was like, you're a real one. I was like, thanks, bestie. And she was like, it's all right. She was like, which chair is it? This is like, by this point we were doing like the colouring. And I was just like, oh my God, why? Why not put your hand up and just say, I need the loo? So yeah, it's definitely not the first time that's happened because I heard it from like other people's centres when like from induction, the different schools, they were like, guys, like this kid peed. I was like, what? Like your guys' kids are crazy. Like our ones have never done that. And yeah, it happened this Sunday. I hope it is the first and final time, but I'm afraid I'm about 2 months into this job. And yeah, so that was that. And then afterwards, we ended the class with some lovely colouring, and that was very sweet. I always do colouring for this class because they're just so little. Like they can't pay attention for a whole hour. Like they just can't. It's not healthy. It's not what we want to see. It's not what I want to see. Anyway, so then I had a high fly C class, and it was a new class for me. Some of the students I taught before, and there's this one boy who is so sweet and gets very, very like happy and joyful, and he's just like so like excited all the time. And this was like obviously a new class, but there was, as I said, like a few different students from this one same class that I taught before. And he was like in the class already being like he. And then this girl walks in, and it's sweet. She's called Joy. And he literally was like, Joy! He was like, Joy! Oh my God, hi, Joy! And I was like, that is so cute. And obviously, like, you got to be like, okay, everyone, let's settle down, let's settle down. But like, internally, I was like, that is so sweet. And I was like, like welcoming the students and everything. Okay, so my final class of this day, this was a cover class. I was covering for the same teacher that I was covering for in the morning with like the two kids, the boy and a girl. So I taught this class before, actually. I've covered this class before, and some of them like recognized me as well. They were like, oh, like we've had you before. And I was like, yeah, I remember some of you guys. And there are some interesting characters in this class. And one point, right? So it's like near the beginning of the lesson, and we're like sat, we're maybe going through like classroom rules or something. And this girl just like puts her hand up. And I'm like, oh, like, what's up? And she just starts going, again in Mandarin, she just starts going, oh, like, actually, in reality, this girl next who sat next to me, she literally phrases it like that. She's like, this girl who sat next to me, her mum actually works at the same company as my mum. And obviously, when she put her hand up, I was like, I just thought she was saying I need to go to the loo or something. So I was like, listening. She's like, actually, this girl who sat next to me, our mums work at the same company. And I was like, oh, okay, nice. I was like, okay, let's learn some English. And then we're like, carrying on. 2 seconds pass. The boy next to her puts his hand up. I'm obviously thinking again, it's either toilet or like they need a tissue or they need a sip of water. And he literally just goes, and by the way, I think this is where my Chinese slightly failed me, because this is where I need to improve a bit. Because at first, this is what I thought he said. I'm still not 100% sure, because I went like after my class, I like literally told the story to the like other teachers in the office and like the local teachers to ask them like what that means. Um, but this is what I thought he said. He puts his hand up and he just goes, teacher, I actually have two siblings from my stepmom. And I was like, oh, like not all the confessions coming out. Like I'm just like sat here, I've just said hello to these students. We're about to drill some vocabulary about brush my teeth, wash my face. But you guys suddenly like they just be putting their hands up and making confessions. I've had this sometimes with some students who are just like, and it catches me off guard every time, because when they're so polite with it most of the time, like they put their hand up and I'm like, oh, it's just gonna, oh, like, what do you need, like, is it the loo or something? And they just like full-blown confession, family members, like school life, like everything. And obviously love it, but I'm also like, guys, like, let's learn English, like, it's all right, it's all right. um but no, it was sweet. It was sweet. And then the other kid as well, the first one, she was like, kept being so fascinated because I wear like little hoop earrings when I go to work. They're smaller than these, like quite tiny. And she is literally just like, oh, like, what's that? And she literally asked me, she was like, how did you get it there? And I was like, by magic. And yeah, so these kids were just like giving me their confessions. And I was like, that's so sweet. So then that brings us to Monday. Technically yesterday, because it is now. Guys, I've been yapping again for literally, it might be even longer than last time. We are about to see, but it is 52 minutes past midnight. That's quite crazy. That's quite crazy. Anyway, podcast style at this point. So on Monday, one of the first notes that I wrote was actually not about class. I just wrote sharing food in the office with a little like hand heart emoji. It's actually so cute because yeah, it's just a love language. Like we all just be sharing food. And then I got this thing that, guys, I'm literally the new brand ambassador for Potato Corner. It's this place and they literally just do like fried chicken and chips. It's amazing. The seasoning, life changing. And they have a new, like, what's it called? Event? Not event, but like promotion thing going on where they are giving out cute little fridge magnets. And at first, when they gave me the fridge magnet, I was like, oh, it's just going to be something with their like logo. I open it up. Maybe I'll insert some photos. Cutest fridge magnet ever. Oh my God, little potato. There's like 12 of them or something, representing like different cities in China that I assume they have their like food chains. And I was like, I'm already addicted to this place and now I am even more hooked. And each time I come back to the office and I show everyone what little fridge magnet I've got 4 at this point because they started a couple days ago and the event is going on for 20 days. So best believe I need to be catching these Pokemon as if they are Pokemon. my brain is like shutting down, guys. I'm so tired. Anyway, but I was like sharing this and it was like so cute because everyone's reaction was literally like, oh, like, at first they like polite and then they eat one and they were like, oh, wow, that is actually delicious. And then later on, this other lady also had like these little like chicken bite things. And she literally like with her, like she had like little like plastic gloves on that you can like eat the food with. And she literally was like went round and there was like, so we have our weekends. I have mine Tuesday, Wednesday, and then some other teachers have them Monday, Tuesday. So we all have Tuesday off. But then that means that Monday and Wednesday, the office is much less. So there's only like a couple of us in here. And she literally went to each of us and she literally like fed us this little thing. And I was like, this is so funny. I literally feel like a little baby chick. Like, it was so cute. It's just a love language. Like there's always like little foodie bits and little snacks and people recommend foods as well. Um, so what else did I write? Oh yeah, so I had the class again, which was the one where I was like covered the co-teaching class for, the one where the kid was like, this is so full circle. We're back to the Monday. This is my usual class. And I literally just wrote that there was this, so the kid, the one that she used to have no thoughts behind her eyes, but now she's a bit cute and sassy and has her personalities coming through. She normally arrives like really early with her like grandma, and I saw them sitting outside and I like went round the front to like pop to the loos, and the grandma was like, oh, like let's say hi to teacher, saying hello. And on my way back she saw me again, and then she didn't even like, it was so funny, she literally didn't even like say anything, but she just went like this to show me her little My Little Pony card. She was just like she wanted to show me. She was literally just like, and I was literally like, wow, it's so cute, it's so pretty. I was like, that is so sweet. And then oh yeah, I just wrote, class gets so excited. They always stand up and do the gestures so dramatically. So anything that we're doing, if we're doing like animals, I'm like, oh, it's a cat, like it's what else did we have? We had maybe frog. I did like bouncing and they were literally just like, they just get so excited. Um and then my final class, this is my angel class. And actually, the angel class is expanding, guys. It used to be three students, three extremely well behaved boys. And then last week there was a new student. And listen, she is still a sweetie. She's a sweetie. I wouldn't classify her as an angel after today's session. She, and bless her, because I think, again, I think she has ADHD because she gets extremely, like, super distracted really quickly, cannot sit still. But honestly has like the sassiest personality. And today there was another new kid. So now it's four boys and she's the only girl. And she is the most, um, has the shortest attention span, I'll say. But she ate. Like, honestly, love that for her. And like, I'm like, girl, be loud, take up space, show these boys what it's like to be chatty AF. Um, but I love it. But no, the thing that I was like, oh, you are a little bit cheeky, is that we always start off with classroom rules. So I like normally will go three rules. So it'd be like rule number one. Rule number one is speak English. And then, you kind of joke and you say like, oh, do we say ni hao, ni yang, yes or no? And everyone's like, no. They're like giggling. It's like, okay, speak English. And then rule number two is sit nicely. And we put our hands on our knees. And then I always go, when teacher Maggie says 3, 2, 1, everyone says 1, 2, 3. And then the final rule is be kind. So when I'm going through these rules, obviously it like takes a sec, but it's not that long. And she literally just starts by going, is this not just a time waster? Spoiler. Guess who? And obviously I said to her, girl, it's not. Like, I was literally like, it's not, let's listen. And guess who throughout the whole lesson was the only one to break every single rule? It's not a waste of time because actually you're the one who needs it the most. Anyway, but she was sweet still and it was a fun class. But I'm like, oh my God, this angel class of my three little angel boys, it may be getting a little bit more rowdy now, but that's okay. It makes it fun. And we ended with colouring again. And yeah, I love how I just wrote angel class, dot, dot, classroom rules, LMAO, waste of time in capitals. Who was the one breaking all of them? Um, but yeah, we ended with colouring and it's just so cute and funny. Oh yeah, and then one point. So there's this one kid, and not gonna lie, he's my fave. He is my fave. He's such a sweetie. He's that one again who's like, he's one of the younger ones, but he's very like strong and like picks up and stuff. And I feel like I can really actually see him like focusing and progressing. And like some parts of the class, his like giggle, he just finds things so funny. And when we were coloring, the girl was like started singing this random Chinese song, and the lyrics were something like wishing us fame and fortune like forever and ever, and it was just like this whole thing. And then this little boy, he was like coloring, and he genuinely, I was like sat next to him, he genuinely like clocked me and gave me like a little smirk. He was like LMAO, like that was his like facial expression. I was like, oh, not him giving me the look, like literally being like, ah. Like she's so funny for that. But I was like, that is so cute and funny. But yeah, that literally brings us to present day. And actually, it is, well, Tuesday was, sorry, not Tuesday, Monday. I just looked at the thing and right now it is currently Tuesday, which, guys, it's literally just hit 1 a.m. Like, how have I done this again? Every time I go to film the video, I feel like the lead up to it is always like, okay, Maz, like, come on, like, I know it's weird to watch yourself on the camera and basically be yapping alone in your room. But then when I get into it, I'm like, oh my God, it's literally like been so long. And at the start, I was like, am I even gonna be able to film this video? Oh my God. But we love that. And I love that this one also, it's very like unedited vibes, which I'm so here for. Kind of trying to lean into it and push myself out my comfort zone, because this style of video is so like, I feel like not in my comfort zone. Like it's not my cup of tea, but I feel like for things that I want to do and like create and talk about things, ideas that I have in the future, I'm like, it does require this like kind of long form, this style of video. Um, but what I was gonna say is that on Monday it was 11/11, and double 11 is kind of like a special thing in China, and they have these sales that go on. I think it starts from Halloween as well. Like Halloween isn't that big, but it starts from Halloween, and then they have this like big, it's kind of like Black Friday. And the store that is the most popular for online shopping is called Taobao. And I had like some stuff in my basket, and it was yesterday or the day before I placed my order for a lot of things, and I have a lot of exciting things that are coming. Just some little things which might be making a feature on the YouTube channel. So I'm very excited, and that was very cute and fun. So yeah, guys, we made it through another week of work, and I'm just the girly pops post uni. Oh my God, I'm so tired right now. Like I literally feel like, but my brain is like both wired and like sleepy at the same time. But I bet I filmed like more than an hour's worth of content at this point. But we love that, and thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my yapping as always, and I hope you're having a lovely day. I'm going to love you and leave you and get my ass to bed, because listen, I actually have to be up in the morning because me and my friends are going on a hike tomorrow. Hike is so dramatic. Like, please no Mount Everest. I'm so not outdoorsy, but obviously I'm in a foreign country. I gotta embrace the sights, the views. I gotta cosplay as someone who goes on these long walks. But I gotta set my alarm for the morning. But that's okay. But anyway, I'm gonna get myself to sleep. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye.